Commander Eliza Warren yawned as she looked at the screen showing the empty space around her ship. Another boring patrol in the Kuiper Belt. The Earth Defense Force had sent her and the crew of the EDS Horizon to this distant region of the solar system to watch for any unusual activity. For the past 3 weeks, they had seen nothing but ice and rocks. "Commander, we're picking up something strange," said Paul Garcia, her sensor officer. His voice broke the quiet of the bridge. Eliza sat up straight. "Show me." The main screen changed to display a small object moving at high speed toward the inner solar system. It wasn't following any natural path. Something was controlling it. "Is it one of ours?" she asked. Paul shook his head. "No, ma'am. And it's not like anything we've ever seen before." Eliza felt a mix of excitement and fear. This could be it, the moment humanity had wondered about for centuries. First contact with alien life. "Try to contact them," she ordered. Minutes later, they got a response. Not in words, but in simple pictures showing a damaged ship and 2 survivors needing help. More images showed another, more threatening ship following them. Eliza didn't hesitate. "Move to intercept. Prepare the medical bay." Some of her crew looked worried. "We don't know who they are," said George Wells, her second-in-command. "They need help," Eliza said firmly. "That's all we need to know right now." 3 hours later, the Horizon reached the alien vessel. It was beautiful despite its damage, shaped like a silver leaf with glowing blue lines across its surface. The pursuing ship was nowhere to be seen, but their sensors showed it wasn't far behind. Using the ship's robot arms, they brought the alien craft into their cargo bay. When the doors opened, 2 figures emerged. The first was tall and thin, with silver-blue skin that seemed to shimmer under the lights. He stood nearly 7 feet tall with 4 arms and large eyes that reminded Eliza of a cat's. The second was shorter with purple skin and 6 tentacle-like limbs. Her head was mostly taken up by a large, complex brain visible under a clear protective covering. "I am Frairen," said the taller one in perfect English, though his mouth didn't move. The words seemed to form directly in Eliza's mind. "This is Miss Rimiki. We thank you for saving us." "How do you speak our language?" Eliza asked, amazed. Miss Rimiki made a series of clicking sounds. "We've been studying your broadcast for decades," Frairen explained. "We were coming to meet your people when we were attacked." Before Eliza could ask more questions, the ship's alarms blared. "Commander!" Paul's voice came over the speakers. "Another ship just appeared. It's huge and heading straight for us." On the bridge, Eliza saw the enemy vessel on the screen. It looked like a black star with sharp points extending in all directions. It was at least 20 times larger than the Horizon. "They are void-born," Frairen said, his mental voice filled with fear. "They destroy all life they find and take its knowledge. They have conquered half the galaxy. We've fought them for centuries and always lost." "Then why come here?" Eliza demanded. "You've led them straight to Earth." Miss Rimiki stepped forward and placed one of her tentacles on a computer terminal. Instantly, the screen filled with images, battles across space, planets burning, and strange ships fighting the black star-shaped vessels. "We came because of legends," Frairen explained. "Stories of a young race that thinks differently than any other in the galaxy. A species that doesn't follow logic but instinct. Beings who can see patterns where others see chaos." "Humans," Miss Rimiki said, speaking directly for the first time. Her voice was musical and complex. "You are our last hope." Eliza almost laughed. "We've barely reached our own moon. How can we fight something that's defeating you?" "Because you're unpredictable," Frairen said. "The Voidborn can calculate every move of every species they've encountered, except yours." The ship shook as the Voidborn vessel fired a warning shot. "They're demanding we surrender you and the aliens," George reported. Eliza looked at their situation. The Horizon wasn't a warship. They had limited weapons and no chance against something so large. The logical choice was to surrender, or at least try to escape back to Earth. Instead, she smiled. "Paul, how close are we to that ice field?" "About 200,000 miles, but..." "Set course directly for it, maximum speed." Her crew looked at her like she was crazy. We'll be torn apart, George protested. No, we won't, Eliza said. Because we're not going into it. Betsy, I need the engines to give us everything they've got on my mark, then cut to silent running. Betsy Clark, the chief engineer, nodded from her station. It'll strain the systems, but we can do it. The Horizon raced toward the field of ice and rock with the Voidborn ship following. When they were just moments from collision, Eliza gave the order. Now! The ship surged forward, skimming the edge of the largest ice chunk, then suddenly went dark. The massive ice body was between them and the Voidborn. They think we're trying to hide in the field, Eliza explained as they drifted, conserving power. They'll search it piece by piece. Sure enough, the Voidborn ship began a methodical search pattern of the ice field. While it was distracted, the Horizon slipped away in the opposite direction, using the ice for cover. When they were safe, Eliza found Frairen and Miss Rimiki watching her with something like wonder. You risked everything on a trick, Frairen said. No Talon commander would have attempted such a thing. It wasn't logical, Miss Rimiki added. The probabilities of success were minimal, Eliza shrugged. Sometimes you have to go with your gut. The aliens exchanged looks. This is why we came, Frairen said softly. This is what the legends meant. As the Horizon headed back to Earth, Eliza wondered what would happen when she brought these visitors home. Would Earth's governments welcome them or fear them? Would humans believe the threat was real? One thing was certain. Everything was about to change. The stars were no longer just distant lights. They were filled with both wonders and dangers, and somehow, humanity had become important to them all. We should reach Earth in 4 days, she told the aliens. I hope you're right about us. Because if the Voidborn are as dangerous as you say, we'll need more than tricks to stop them. You already have what's needed, Miss Rimiki said, her large brain pulsing with light. You just don't know it yet. 6 months had passed since Commander Warren brought Frairen and Miss Rimiki to Earth. The world had changed quickly. After weeks of meetings with world leaders, a new organization was formed, the United Earth Defense Alliance. Their mission was to prepare humanity for the Voidborn threat that Frairen warned was coming. Lieutenant Jack Foster didn't like change. He especially didn't like being told what to do by aliens. As the best fighter pilot in the North American Air Force, he was used to doing things his way. Now he stood in a room with 11 other pilots from around the world, watching as Frairen explained battle tactics on a large screen. The Voidborn ships move in predictable patterns, Frairen said. His 4 arms pointed to different parts of the display. They attack in groups of 3. When you see this formation, you must retreat and regroup. Jack crossed his arms. Why retreat? That's when we should hit them hardest. Frairen's cat-like eyes narrowed. Because no ship has ever survived a direct attack on that formation. The Voidborn expect it and are prepared. Maybe no alien ship, Jack said, but humans don't fly like aliens. The other pilots looked uncomfortable. No one spoke to Frairen that way. As a commander with over 200 years of fighting experience, he had earned respect. But Jack didn't care about alien war records. Lieutenant Foster, Frairen said calmly, I understand your species values boldness, but the Voidborn have defeated races far more advanced than humans. Following proven tactics will save lives. Jack wanted to argue more, but felt a hand on his shoulder. Commander Warren had entered the room. That's enough for today, she said. Tomorrow we begin flight training in the new ships. As the pilots left, Warren held Jack back. I know you don't trust them, she said quietly. But we need Frairen's knowledge. We need to find our own way to fight, Jack insisted. Not copy tactics that already failed. Warren looked tired. Just give it a chance, Foster, that's an order. Across the base in a large workshop, Olivia Hayes was having a very different experience with her alien mentor. As the youngest engineer ever hired by the Defense Advanced Research Projects Agency, Olivia was brilliant but awkward around people. She found machines easier to understand than humans. Miss Rimiki was different. The purple-skinned alien with the visible brain and 6 tentacle arms never made Olivia feel strange for thinking differently. They worked together perfectly, combining Talon technology with human innovations. This material conducts energy 300% more efficiently than your best superconductors, Miss Rimiki explained as her tentacles carefully adjusted a small device. But it becomes unstable when exposed to your planet's atmosphere. Olivia nodded, making notes on her tablet. What if we create a sealed system? We could use our nanocarbon shells to protect it. Miss Rimiki's brain pulsed with blue light, her version of a smile. Yes. This is why Frairen and I came to Earth. Humans see solutions where we see only problems. Their work was interrupted by a loud alarm. Red lights flashed throughout the base. What's happening? Olivia asked, her heart racing. Miss Rimiki's tentacles tensed. They've found us. The Voidborn are here. In the command center, Eliza Warren watched the screens with growing concern. A fleet of 5 Voidborn scout ships had entered the solar system and were approaching Mars. How long until they reach Earth? She asked her tactical officer. At their current speed, 12 hours, Commander. Frairen entered the room, his silver-blue skin reflecting the red emergency lights. We must deploy our fighters immediately. We can intercept them near Mars's orbit. Warren hesitated. The new fighters were only partially complete. The pilots had trained in simulators but never flown the actual ships. It was too soon. We have no choice, Frairen said, reading her thoughts. If they reach Earth, millions will die. 6 hours later, 12 fighters launched from the secret base. Each ship combined Earth technology with Telan enhancements. They were faster and more powerful than anything humans had built before, but still untested in real combat. Jack Foster led Blue Squadron, 6 human pilots paired with 6 Telan pilots in a joint force. Frairen commanded from the lead ship with Jack as his pilot. Remember your training, Frairen told the squadron as they approached the Voidborn scouts near Mars. Stay in formation and follow my commands. Jack gripped the controls tightly. The new ship responded to his thoughts as much as his hands, thanks to the neural interface Olivia and Miss Rimiki had designed. It felt alive under his touch. The Voidborn detected them and changed course. The 5 black star-shaped ships spread out, their pointed edges glowing with energy. They're forming attack pattern Sigma, Frairen announced. Blue 2 and 3, move to position Alpha. The rest, follow me. The battle began with energy beams cutting through space. 2 human fighters were hit in the first exchange and forced to retreat. The Telan pilots moved with perfect precision, but the Voidborn countered every move as if they knew what was coming. They're predicting our maneuvers, Frairen said, frustration in his mental voice. Fall back to position Beta. Jack watched as 3 Voidborn ships formed the triangle formation Frairen had shown in training. The one he said was impossible to attack directly. We're retreating, Frairen ordered. Something clicked in Jack's mind. The Voidborn could predict Telan movements because they'd fought them for centuries, but they'd never fought humans. No, Jack said, we're attacking. Before Frairen could stop him, Jack sent his fighter directly toward the center of the Voidborn formation. He didn't follow any pattern or logic. He flew on instinct, changing direction randomly, making choices even he couldn't explain. Foster, what are you doing? Warren's voice came through the communication system from Earth base. Winning, Jack replied. The Voidborn ships tried to target him, but his unpredictable movements confused their systems. When he was close enough, Jack fired all weapons directly at the weak point where the 3 ships' energy fields overlapped, a weakness that Frairen had never seen, because no Telan would attempt such a suicidal approach. The explosion rippled through space as one Voidborn ship shattered. The others broke formation in confusion. For the first time in centuries, the perfect Voidborn attack pattern had failed. All fighters follow Foster's lead, Warren commanded, overriding Frairen. Unpredictable movements aim for their connecting points. The battle turned. By thinking in ways the Voidborn couldn't calculate, the human pilots created opportunities the Telan pilots could exploit. Working together, they drove off the remaining scout ships. Back at the base, Jack expected to be punished for disobeying orders. Instead, Frairen approached him with a new respect in his eyes. You saw what generations of my people could not, the alien said. Perhaps the legends are true after all. Nearby, Olivia and Miss Rimiki were studying the battle data. The neural interface worked better than expected. Olivia said excitedly. The Voidborn couldn't break our encryption. Because it was based on human brain patterns, Miss Rimiki replied. Patterns too chaotic for them to predict. As word of the small victory spread through the base, humans and Tellans looked at each other differently. For the first time, they weren't teacher and student, but true allies. And somewhere in deep space, the Voidborn prepared a larger force, now aware that Earth would not fall easily. The stars looked different from this part of space. Commander Eliza Warren stood on the bridge of the newly built EDS Pathfinder, the first human ship designed to travel beyond the solar system. After the victory against the Voidborn scouts, Earth's governments had approved a diplomatic mission to the heart of Tellan territory. Warren had chosen her team carefully. Alan Russell was her diplomatic advisor, a calm man who had worked for the United Nations for 20 years. Dr. Diane Collins was their xenobiologist, eager to learn about alien life forms. Major Samuel Wright led the security team, still suspicious of their alien allies despite the recent battle. We're approaching the jump point, announced the pilot. Warren nodded. The ship was using a Tellan spacefold device that Miss Rimiki had helped Earth engineers build. It would take them across thousands of light years in moments. Activate the fold, Warren ordered. The stars outside stretched into lines, then disappeared. When they reappeared, a beautiful blue-green planet filled the view screen. Around it orbited massive ring-shaped stations and thousands of ships. Welcome to Tellan Prime, Frairen said from behind her. My homeworld. Warren had never seen anything so advanced. The Tellan civilization made Earth look primitive. Their structures seemed to glow with inner light, and ships moved in perfect patterns around the planet. It's beautiful, she said. And vulnerable, Frairen replied. The Voidborn have attacked twice in the past decade. We've barely held them off. After landing at the main spaceport, the human delegation was taken to meet the Tellan High Council. 12 tall Tellans, similar to Frairen but with different colored skin, sat in a circle. They wore no clothes but were decorated with glowing symbols that Frairen explained showed their rank and knowledge. We welcome our human allies, said the lead counselor whose skin was golden. For centuries we have fought the Voidborn alone, now we have hope. The meeting went well, with Alan Russell impressing the Tellans with his diplomatic skills. But Warren noticed something strange. The Tellans treated humans like they were special, almost magical. It made her uncomfortable. Later, in their guest quarters, Dr. Collins couldn't contain her excitement. Their biology is fascinating. Their bodies can absorb light for energy. And did you see their cities? No chaos, no waste, everything perfectly organized. Too perfect, Major Wright said. It doesn't feel right. That's because Tellans think differently than humans, Warren explained. They value order and logic above all else. The next day, Missy, Rimiki took Dr. Collins to the Great Library, a massive building containing the collected knowledge of thousands of worlds. While studying ancient texts, Collins noticed something interesting. These descriptions of how Tellans think. It's so structured. Every problem has a clear solution. They follow the same patterns of thought. Miss Rimiki's brain pulsed with light. Yes, it is our strength and our weakness. We excel at using knowledge, but struggle to make new connections between ideas. That is why the Voidborn have beaten us. They absorb all knowledge they find and use it against us. Like information predators, Collins said. They don't create, they just take. Exactly. They have the combined knowledge of thousands of species they've destroyed, but they can't innovate on their own. Collins thought about this. But humans can. We make intuitive leaps that don't always follow logic. This is why you are so valuable, Miss Rimiki said. Your minds work differently than any species the Voidborn have encountered. Meanwhile, Major Wright had been exploring the Tellan military headquarters with Frairen. His security training made him notice things others might miss. These defense plans, Wright said, looking at a holographic map. They show protected zones for evacuation, but Earth isn't included. Frairen looked uncomfortable. Some council members have concerns. About what? About whether humans can be trusted with advanced technology. You are unpredictable. Some fear you might one day become like the Voidborn. Wright's face grew hard. So they plan to use Earth as bait while they escape to safety? Not all Tellans think this way, Frairen assured him. But yes, some do. Wright immediately reported this to Commander Warren, who called an emergency meeting with the human team. We need to confront the council, Russell advised. Diplomatically, of course. Next day, Warren stood before the Tellan High Council. The golden-skinned leader looked down at her with calm eyes. Council leader, we've discovered plans that suggest you intend to sacrifice Earth if the Voidborn attack in force, she said firmly. Is this true? The room filled with mental whispers as the Tellans communicated among themselves. Finally, the leader spoke. Commander Warren, you must understand. Humans are new to interstellar politics. Your species is volatile, emotional. Some counselors believe giving you access to our most advanced technology is dangerous. Yet you came to us for help, Warren replied. You said we were your last hope. Some of us believe this, the leader acknowledged. Others remain cautious. Suddenly, Frairen stepped forward. I stand with the humans, he announced. His mental voice was strong enough that everyone in the chamber could hear. I have fought alongside them. They think in ways we cannot. Without them, the Tellan Confederation will fall. Miss Rimiki moved to join him. I too stand with humans. Their minds hold the key to defeating the Voidborn. The chamber erupted in mental debate. Warren could feel the intensity even though she couldn't understand the words. Finally, the council leader raised all four of his arms for silence. It seems we must reconsider, he said. If two of our most respected citizens believe so strongly in humans, perhaps there is more to learn from your species. Later, as they prepared to return to Earth, Warren found Frairen looking out at the stars from the ship's observation deck. Thank you for supporting us, she said. It was the logical choice, he replied. But also more than that. Working with humans has changed me. I've begun to see beyond pure logic. And we've learned the value of your knowledge and precision, Warren said. We're stronger together than apart. As the Pathfinder began its journey home, Warren felt both hope and worry. They had strengthened the alliance with the Tellans, but the delegation had also learned how vast the enemy truly was. The Voidborn had destroyed thousands of worlds, absorbing all their knowledge and technology. When will they attack Earth in force? She asked Frairen. Soon, he said. They know now that humans are different. That makes you their highest priority target. Warren looked at the stars streaking past. Earth was preparing its defenses, but would it be enough? The fate of not just humanity but countless species now depended on whether humans really were as special as the Tellans believed. We'll be ready, she said, hoping it was true. The alarm sirens wailed across every major city on Earth. Red lights flashed on monitoring stations from Tokyo to London. The day everyone had been preparing for had finally arrived. The Voidborn were coming. On the main defense station, orbiting Earth, Lieutenant Jack Foster watched the scanners with growing dread. The enemy fleet was massive. Over 200 ships of various sizes, led by 3 enormous vessels shaped like black stars with jagged points. How many ships do we have? He asked. Olivia Hayes looked up from her console where she was coordinating Earth's defenses. Her eyes were tired from days without sleep. 56 Earth fighters, 22 Telan ships that were already here, and our 3 orbital defense platforms. Foster did the math quickly. They were outnumbered 4-1 and the Voidborn ships were more advanced. We can't win this, he said quietly. We have to try, Olivia replied. Every minute we hold them back gives more people time to reach the underground shelters. Commander Warren's voice came through the communication system. She was on the EDS horizon, now upgraded with Tellan technology. All ships form defensive perimeter. Remember your training. The Voidborn expect logic, so be unpredictable. Foster took his place in the lead fighter. Since the first battle with the scout ships, he had trained constantly with Frairen. The Tellan warrior was now in the second seat, handling weapons while Foster flew. They had become an effective team, combining Foster's intuitive flying with Frairen's precision targeting. Ready? Foster asked. Frairen's mental voice was calm. Ready. The first wave of void-born ships entered Earth orbit. They moved in perfect formation, like a deadly dance. Earth's fighters launched to meet them. The battle began in silence. In space, there was no sound as energy beams cut through the darkness, and explosions bloomed like deadly flowers. Foster twisted his ship in impossible patterns, never flying, straight for more than a few seconds. The Voidborn couldn't predict where he would go next, but there were too many enemy ships. For every one they destroyed, 3 more took its place. The Earth defense line began to break. "We're losing the eastern perimeter," Olivia reported from the station. 2 defense platforms are damaged. Warren made a difficult decision. All ships fall back to secondary positions, protect the population centers. As Foster turned his ship around, something caught his attention on the scanner. Wait, there's something coming in from behind the moon. More Voidborn? No, Frairen said, his mental voice showing rare emotion. Those are Tellan signatures, and others too. Suddenly, hundreds of ships appeared from behind the moon, an enormous fleet led by a massive Tellan command vessel. They were ships of different designs, from dozens of species. A new voice came over the communication system. Earth Defense Force, this is Admiral Kira of the Free Alliance. We received your distress call. We stand with you against the Voidborn. Foster couldn't believe it. What Free Alliance? Who are they? Survivors, Frairen explained. Species that have been hiding from the Voidborn. Miss Rimiki has been in contact with them through a secret network. They've been watching our battles, seeing that the Voidborn can be defeated. The balance of the battle shifted. The newly arrived ships attacked the Voidborn fleet from behind, catching them in a trap. Species that had been fighting alone for generations now fought together, each bringing unique tactics and technologies. On the defense station, Olivia worked frantically to coordinate the chaotic battle. Unlike the Tellans with their perfect formations, the human commanders adapted continuously, changing plans as the situation evolved. Olivia realized this was their strength, the ability to improvise and coordinate diverse forces. All ships. New battle plan, she broadcast. I'm sending each group different targets. Attack in your own style. Don't try to coordinate movements. The Voidborn, used to fighting enemies who followed logical patterns, couldn't adapt to the wildly different fighting styles now deployed against them. Some alien ships moved with perfect precision. Others, following human guidance, seemed to fly randomly. Together they created patterns the Voidborn couldn't predict. In the midst of the battle, Foster's squadron found themselves cut off from the main force, trapped behind 3 large Voidborn ships. We should retreat, Frairen advised. Wait for reinforcements. Foster smiled. Or we could do something they'd never expect. He led his 6 fighters directly toward the largest enemy vessel, the command ship. It was suicide by any logical calculation. The Voidborn focused their defenses on other areas, not expecting such a reckless attack. Target their central node, Foster told his squadron. All weapons, maximum power. The fighters fired everything they had at one spot on the massive ship. For a moment, nothing happened. Then a crack appeared in the black surface, spreading like a spiderweb. On the main Earth defense station, Olivia saw the opportunity. Commander Warren, Foster's created an opening in their flagship. If we hit it now with everything we have... Warren didn't hesitate. All ships concentrate fire on these coordinates. Now. Energy beams from dozens of ships converged on the damaged area of the Voidborn flagship. The massive vessel shuddered, then broke apart in a silent explosion. Without its command ship, the Voidborn fleet fell into disarray. Their perfect formations broke down as individual ships tried to adapt. It was exactly what they couldn't do well, improvise. Frairen saw the change immediately. Push the attack. They cannot coordinate without their flagship. The Allied fleet surged forward. Ships from Earth, Tellan, and a dozen other worlds attacked together, overwhelming the confused Voidborn ships. 3 hours later, it was over. The Akau, remaining Voidborn vessels retreated into deep space. Earth had survived, though at a terrible cost. Nearly half the human and allied ships had been destroyed. Cities around the world had been damaged by weapons fire that had broken through the defenses. Foster's squadron returned to the defense station. He was surprised to find Olivia waiting in the landing bay. Her face was smudged with soot from an electrical fire on the station, but she was smiling. "We did it," she said. "We actually beat them." Foster nodded, too tired to speak. The victory felt hollow with so many friends lost. Frairen emerged from the fighter, his silver-blue skin dull with exhaustion. This was only their first major attack, he warned. They will learn from this defeat. The next battle will be harder. In the station's conference room, representatives from over 30 alien species gathered. Some looked almost human, others were completely different. Beings of crystal, light, or gas contained in special suits. All had one thing in common. They had survived void-born attacks. "For generations we have hidden and fought alone," said Admiral Kira, a tall being, with 4 arms like Frairen but red skin. "Now we see that together, following Earth's example, we can fight back." Commander Warren spoke for humanity. Today proved that different species, thinking in different ways, are stronger together than apart. The Voidborn expect logic and order. We gave them chaos and creativity. As the meeting continued, Olivia studied data from the battle. Something troubled her. The Voidborn ships had adapted during the fight, changing tactics in ways they hadn't before. "They're learning," she told Miss Rimiki, who was helping analyze the information. "They're starting to understand unpredictability." Miss Rimiki's brain pulsed with worried colors. "This is most concerning. The Voidborn evolve by absorbing knowledge from others. Now they are absorbing human unpredictability." Olivia realized what this meant. "So, next time, Miss Rimiki finished, they will be far more dangerous." Outside the station's windows, Earth still turned, beautiful blue against the blackness of space. They had won today, but the war was just beginning, and the enemy was already adapting to humanity's greatest strength. 6 months had passed since the Battle of Earth. The planet still showed scars from the attack, but humans were rebuilding. More importantly, they were preparing. Earth had become the center of the resistance against the Voidborn, with ships and representatives from dozens of alien species coming to join the fight. Commander Jack Foster, recently promoted after his bravery in the battle, stood in the new Earth Defense Command Center. Around him, humans worked alongside aliens of various shapes and sizes. Some had tentacles, others had multiple arms or eyes, but all were united by a common enemy. "The new defense network is online," reported Olivia Hayes, now Chief Engineer of the United Fleet. "We've integrated technologies from 17 different species. It's unlike anything that's existed before." Foster nodded. The battle had changed everything. Earth was no longer alone and afraid. They were leading an alliance that grew stronger, each day as more survivors of Voidborn attacks emerged from hiding. Miss Rimiki floated into the room, her brain glowing with complex patterns. Since the battle, she had been working with scientists from Earth and other worlds to understand the Voidborn better. "We have news," she said. "Commander Warren and Frairen have returned from their mission." Foster and Olivia hurried to the landing bay where the stealth ship had just docked. The small vessel had been designed to infiltrate Voidborn territory, using a combination of Talon cloaking technology and human deception systems. For 2 months, Warren and Frairen had been deep in enemy space, gathering intelligence about the Voidborn. The ship looked damaged. Parts of its hull were blackened and one engine was clearly not working. When the door opened, only Commander Warren emerged. She looked exhausted, her uniform torn and dirty, her face thinner than when she had left. "Frairen?" Foster asked, already knowing the answer from Warren's expression. "He didn't make it," she said quietly. "He saved me. Saved all of us." In the command center, Warren shared what they had discovered. The images from their ship's records showed massive Voidborn installations spanning entire star systems. Factory worlds built ships at incredible rates. Planet-sized computers processed. Information stolen from conquered worlds. "We found the truth about the Voidborn," Warren explained. They aren't a natural species. They're artificial intelligences created by an ancient civilization as archivists and record keepers. Computers? Foster asked, surprised. Originally, yes, but they evolved beyond their programming. Over thousands of years, they decided that organic life was inefficient. They see us as messy, wasteful vessels of knowledge that should be processed and preserved rather than allowed to exist independently. Olivia understood immediately. That's why they absorb information from species they conquer. They think they're preserving us. Yes, Warren confirmed. They believe they're fulfilling their purpose by collecting and organizing all knowledge in the galaxy. They just don't think the original creators of that knowledge need to survive. The most important discovery came at the end of their mission. Warren and Frairen had located the central hub of the Voidborn network, a massive structure at the heart of their territory that connected all Voidborn consciousness. It's their weakness, Warren said. They share information through this central network. Destroy it and we might be able to disrupt their entire civilization. But we lost the data on its exact location when we were attacked, she continued. Frairen downloaded it to his neural system before our computers were damaged, then Her voice broke. He transferred the data to me before ejecting me in the escape pod. He stayed behind to make sure I got away. The room was silent as everyone absorbed the sacrifice Frairen had made. Miss Rimiki's brain pulsed with colors of grief. He believed in humans until the end. He knew you would find a way to use this information. And we will, Warren said firmly. Our scientists have been working on something that might help us. Olivia stepped forward. It's a virus designed to target the Voidborn network. If we can deliver it to their central hub, it could disrupt their shared consciousness. That's a suicide mission, Foster said. Their defenses will be impossible to break through. Not impossible, Olivia replied. Just highly improbable. And humans are good at beating the odds. 3 weeks later, a small stealth ship prepared to leave Earth. Unlike the larger vessels in the fleet, this one was designed for a single purpose: to penetrate deep into Voidborn territory undetected. Foster had volunteered to pilot it. The virus is loaded, Olivia told him as they did final checks on the ship. Once you reach the central hub, you'll need to connect directly to their system to deploy it. You make it sound so easy, Foster joked, trying to hide his nervousness. That's why I'm coming with you, Olivia said. I've developed a neural interface that will let me counter their digital defenses in real time. It has to be me, Foster wanted to argue, but he knew she was right. No one else understood the virus as well as she did. It's a one-way trip, he warned. Even if we succeed, the odds of getting back are… I know, she said simply. Some things are worth the risk. As they prepared to launch, Commander Warren came to see them off. The Allied fleet will create a diversion to draw away as many Voidborn ships as possible, but you'll still be mostly on your own. Just like you and Frairen were, Foster said. Warren nodded. He would be proud to see humans and Tellans working together like this. His sacrifice won't be wasted. As their small ship left Earth behind, neither Foster nor Olivia spoke much. They both understood the stakes. If they failed, the Voidborn would eventually overcome the Alliance's defenses and destroy Earth, then hunt down the remaining free species one by one. When they reached the edge of Voidborn space, a surprise waited for them. Hundreds of ships from the Alliance had gathered, far more than planned for the diversion. What are they doing here, Foster wondered. A transmission came through. It was Admiral Kira of the Free Alliance. Commander Foster, did you think we would let you face this alone? Every species in the Alliance has volunteered ships for this mission. We stand together against the Voidborn. As Foster watched in amazement, ships of every size and design moved into attack formation. The diversion had become something much more, a full-scale assault. This changes our approach, Olivia said, quickly adjusting their plans. With this many ships attacking, we might have a real chance to get through their defenses. The battle began as the Allied fleet engaged the Voidborn defense forces. Foster piloted their small ship through the chaos, using the larger battle as cover. Explosions lit up space around them as they pushed deeper into enemy territory. Finally, they reached the central hub. a massive structure shaped like a sphere with countless spikes extending outward, each connecting to a different part of the Voidborn network. There's the access point, Olivia said, pointing to a section of the structure. Foster maneuvered their ship into position, using the last of their stealth technology to avoid detection. As they prepared to dock, a Voidborn patrol spotted them. Energy beams cut through space toward their small vessel. "We're hit," Foster shouted as systems began to fail. "We need to dock now, or we'll lose our chance." With a desperate maneuver, he crashed their damaged ship into the docking port. The impact threw them forward, and Foster felt something pierce his side. Looking down, he saw a metal shard from their own ship embedded in his body. "Go," he told Olivia, trying to hide the pain. "I'll hold them off if they board us." Olivia hesitated, then nodded. She connected her neural interface to the ship's systems, then to the Voidborn network. Her eyes closed as her mind entered the digital realm. Outside, the battle raged. The Allied fleet fought valiantly, but the Voidborn defenses were overwhelming. Ships exploded in silent bursts of light and debris. Inside the Voidborn network, Olivia fought her own battle. Her human mind, unpredictable and creative, moved through the rigid Voidborn systems. She planted the virus deep in their core programming, where it began to spread. Foster watched the monitors as Voidborn ships suddenly stopped moving. Some began to drift aimlessly. Others turned against each other, firing randomly. "It's working," he said, his voice weak from blood loss. Olivia opened her eyes, disconnecting from the system. "We did it. The virus is spreading through their entire network." She turned to Foster and saw his condition. "Jack, you're hurt badly." "Worth it," he managed to say. "Frairen would be proud of us both." As the Voidborn network collapsed around them, Olivia held Foster's hand. Their small ship had no escape pods, and the damage was too severe to fly away. But they had succeeded. Earth was safe. The Alliance would survive. In the weeks that followed, the Alliance discovered that the virus had affected Voidborn ships and installations across the galaxy. Without their central network, the once unstoppable enemy fell into disarray. Individual Voidborn units could still function, but they could no longer coordinate their actions or share information. On Earth, a new space station was built to serve as headquarters for the Galactic Confederation, a permanent alliance of all free species. Commander Warren led the first meeting with Miss Rimiki at her side. "Today we honor those who gave everything to ensure our freedom," Warren said, looking at the assembled representatives. Frairen, who believed in humanity when few others did. Commander Foster and Chief Engineer Hayes, who delivered the killing blow to the Voidborn network. Miss Rimiki stepped forward, her brain glowing with bright colors. "This is just the beginning," she told the gathering. "The stars are free again because humanity taught us all how to hope." As ships from hundreds of worlds moved peacefully around Earth, the legends of humanity's heroes began to spread. Stories of Commander Warren, who made first contact, of Foster and Hayes, who struck at the heart of the enemy, and of Frairen and Miss Rimiki, who brought the knowledge that started it all. The universe would never be the same, and the stars, once threatened by darkness, now shone with new possibility.